Are you someone who just started making beats? Did you just get your computer or your software or your MIDI controller for the first time and you're confused about what to do? I'm here to help you out. My name is El Marquis, musician, rapper, record producer, unashamed crafts follower, and today I'm going to give you a beginner's tutorial on how to make a beat.
El Marquis Productions.
Maybe you've been into music for a long time and you finally got into music production. Maybe you've been listening to your favorite artists or your favorite producers and wondering, how did they do that? No matter how advanced someone is, everyone starts from somewhere. But before you're able to do all the crazy tricks that maybe some of your favorite producers will know how to do, you need to have a foundation on how to get started. So my goal in this video is to introduce a few things that you can start working on where you're at right now with as minimal equipment and software as possible. So if either you just started making beats, or maybe you've been making beats for a little while and you want to have an idea of the things that you need to learn, this is the video for you. But before we get into all that, I need you to do me a really quick favor. If you like seeing videos where I break down my beat making process, tutorials that are made specifically for Logic Pro, and just great music in general, do me a really quick favor and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more videos like this and so people with similar interests as you can also see more videos like this. Now that we got that out the way, I'm going to open up Logic Pro 10 and I'm going to give you a few beginner tips that should get you started. The first thing that you should learn, no matter what DAW you use, is the basic controls of your DAW. That's anywhere from how to set the tempo of your beat or your song, knowing how to record, knowing how to hit save. That's a really important one that you need to know. Knowing how to load up an instrument. For example, in Logic, you go to where it says instrument, and you can click on one of these plugins in Logic, or when you eventually get third-party plugins, you go into AU instruments, and then picking from whichever company, and then picking whichever plugin you want to use. For example, in Logic, you go to where it says audio effects, you go down to these different categories of your plugins, and then you can select from them over here. And also eventually when you get third-party plugins, going down to audio units, going down to whichever company you choose to use, and then loading things up that way. And then eventually something that I really need to do is actually like organizing all your plugins by their actual category instead of just going by the company name, whichever one works for you. You'll be really limited to what you actually can do while you're making a beat if you don't really know how to use your DAW correctly. Along with this, you also should learn how to use different shortcuts so that you can speed up your workflow. For example, instead of always having to go up here to hit record, you could hit R on your keyboard, and then to stop, just hit the space bar. That right there is a big time saver. Or you're someone who likes to use the metronome when you record. Well, you could go here and click this, but that takes a couple seconds. It's even quicker if you go on your keyboard and hit the K button. Bam, see, your metronome's on right now. Now I just turn it back off. You pay attention to this icon over here. So the better you know how to use your DAW, the quicker you'll be able to knock out tasks and the more efficient you'll be. The next thing that you should learn that some people may disagree with is learning the basics of playing piano and the basics of music theory. A lot of producers don't know how to play instruments, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as they're making the music that they want to make. For me, in my personal experience, I was a musician before I became a producer, and even though, of course, you know, when I started making beats, they were all trash, since I knew a little bit about playing guitar and playing the piano, I personally think that helped me learn how to make better beats quicker. And I'm not saying you need to be the best piano player in the world or the best guitar player or know every single music theory trick there is in the book. However, even if you have like a really basic understanding of how music really works, you'll be able to create beats and songs a lot quicker. That's what worked for me. Other people are really against learning theory. In my opinion, there are just a couple basic things that you should understand, like tempos, keys, major and minor scales, different rhythms, understanding how to make a chord, the difference between a major chord and a minor chord. Just learning those basic things will put you ahead of a lot of other producers, in my opinion. Something else that you can do that a lot of other producers do anyways, and there's also nothing wrong with doing this at all because I do this all the time, is using third-party loops. There are other producers and companies who make royalty-free loops that are melodies or drum rhythms that you can use in your beats, sell them to an artist, put them on Spotify, do whatever, and you don't owe them any royalties. One popular site where people get them from is from splice.com. For $7.99 a month, you can get 100 credits, which equals 100 different samples, which is both melody loops as well as drum sounds. There are also producers like myself who make royalty-free melody loops. Let me show you a quick example out of one that's on my own pack. So all you need to do is find the loop and then you just drag it into your DAW, and then it should be able to play like this. Important thing to know is that hopefully your loop has at the very least the tempo on it. I put the tempo and the key signature on them so you know what you're playing with when you're starting out. That's what a lot of them do say. If not, click on the track that your loop is on, go to audio effects, go to metering, go to BPM counter. Honestly, this works a lot better with loops that have drums in them. Let's see if this is gonna work on this one. As you can see, it actually did get it correct. Depending on how you're counting it, it could be 81 BPM or 162 BPM. And starting off with either a melody or a chord progression can now make it easier for you to add your own melodies or add your own drums. Which brings me to my next tip that you should learn how to do is learn drum rhythms. When you're first starting out, you don't need to be the best drummer in the world, but you should know some basic drum patterns to get you started. They don't have to be complex, you don't have to overthink anything, just learn how to make a drum pattern. Just starting out using the stock sounds in your DAW will do fine. They'll work good enough for you to learn what to do. Eventually you can invest in other drum sounds, but there are also a ton of free kits out there as well. Some that are good, some that are kind of, but find something that works. So I'm pulling up a free kit that I got off of slapexperts.com called Oh Gosh Essentials Drum Kit Volume 3. So I'm just gonna pull up a random drum sound as an example. So I picked this sound. You can drag it over here and go to Drum Machine Designer. And then over here on these different panels, you can drag different samples. So if you're using a MIDI keyboard or MIDI controller, now that kick drum's on the C1. So now I'm gonna play this loop and just make a really quick pattern. Okay, I promise I don't play that offbeat. Normally, the screen recorder adds a little bit of latency, but it's all good. You can judge me if you want later. So starting out, the bare essential drums that you need are kicks, either a snare or a clap. So you can drag that over here. And now your clap is on C sharp, and then a hi-hat. So we'll drag that over here. That'll be on D1. And of course, you can drag these wherever you want, wherever is comfortable for you. But listen to different songs that you like, from different styles of music, from different eras of music. Study the rhythms, copy them, and then as you progress, you'll be able to make your own. The fourth thing that you should learn when starting out is some basics about mixing. So when you're first starting out, you don't need to know every single thing there is to mix. But if you want to put your music out there to the world, if you want to sell your music to other people to license, you should learn how to mix your beats or your songs so that they're listenable, so that they sound quality when someone else listens to them. The first thing you should learn is leveling, how to balance the volume of all your instruments so that nothing's too loud, nothing's too quiet, so that you can hear the main things that you want to highlight, and then tuck behind some of the sounds that aren't necessarily the highlights of the song, but add some flavor and make the song sound a lot more full. The next thing you should learn how to use is an EQ, learning what sounds fit where on the frequency spectrum and knowing when to boost something, when to cut something, learning what these different frequencies are and what they sound like, and also how to widen and narrow your curves. After you understand how to use your EQ, you get an understanding of how to use a compressor, which compression honestly is one of the harder things to learn. But when you do, some of the most important things you need to learn is what the threshold is, what the ratio is, how to set your attack and your release for certain instruments. And you actually can get a really good mix just by using those two plugins. And then the other ones that I think are also essential plugins are reverbs and can make your track sound a little more spacious. In fact, one really quick tip about reverb is that sometimes, depending on the sound you want, it may be okay to put it straight on your track, but most of the time you'll want to send it to a bus, which is something else you should learn about your DAW, how to use buses or sends. Put it over here and adjust the volume with this. So learning what reverb is, what tracks to put it on, where, when, and why. And the other plugin that you could learn how to use is delay, which is something else I normally put on a bus, but you can put it on the track. It depends on the sound that you're going for and what sounds cool to you. So I can pull up a delay plugin, and when you put a delay on an instrument, it echoes it so that it repeats multiple times. And then the controls that you need to learn are the note values, whether you're using quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, triplets, dotted notes, what the feedback or the repeats or how many delays there actually are on the sound. If you put it on a bus, you'll normally have the wetness all the way up, or if you put it on the actual instrument itself, you can adjust the dry and wet. Dry means that's the signal that's not delayed, wet's the signal that is delayed. Most delays have knobs very similar to these. Eventually you may outgrow your DAW stock plugins, and then you'll want to invest in third-party plugins from other companies like Waves, Universal Audio, Slate Digital. But the most important ones you need to focus on right now is learning the basic ones that come inside your DAW, because they're free and they actually work very well. So the last tip I'll give you today, and possibly the most important one, learn to not be afraid of making a bad song or a bad beat. Make sure that you're not afraid to fail. Why do I say this? Because the first couple of months, maybe even the first couple of years that you're learning how to make music, learning how to make beats, learning how to write songs, learning how to record, probably not gonna be that good. Some people learn really fast, some people learn really slow, but pretty much no one's an expert straight out the gate whenever they're learning a new skill. So don't be afraid to try different things. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to mess up. You'll learn how to get better at your craft the more you do it. And if you're open to getting feedback from people as well, whether it's a close friend with a really good ear who's not afraid to to be honest with you, whether it's a mentor, whether it's just sending your beats to artists and then having them accept them or reject them, or posting them on the internet and either getting people who say that they're tight or people who say that they're trash. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to fail. You can learn through your failures, but then as you fail, eventually you're going to learn how to actually succeed. You're going to learn what actually works for you. You're going to learn what you actually like making, what people like hearing you make. And then along that journey of trial and error, you're going to find your sound. You're going to find what works for you. You're going to find what artists like to use your beats or listen to your music, and then you'll be closer to being where you want to be. So to quickly go over all the tips again, first thing you need to do, learn your basic DAW controls, learn how to record, learn how to select instruments, learn how to select plugins, learn how to change the tempo of your beat or song, learn the basics of playing an instrument, probably piano since you may be using a piano MIDI controller or guitar MIDI controllers because I've seen those pop up recently, and some of the basic essentials of music theory, learn different drum rhythms, learn the basics of mixing, and learn to not be afraid to fail. If you're just starting out making beats or maybe you've only made them for a couple months, these are 5 essential tips that you need to learn as a beginner. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you've seen today, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you know whenever I upload new videos. Also, be sure to visit my website, lmarquisproductions.com, where you'll be able to check out my music, my beats, my sample kits, my merchandise, and my mixing, mastering, and consulting services. Now go down in the comment section below and let me know, is there anything that I missed? Is there anything that I should have covered that I didn't? Is there anything that I did cover and you want a more in-depth video about it? Let me know in the comment section below. My name is L Marquis Productions. God bless.